Hello, welcome to the 2024 Green Party Annual National Meeting and Presidential Nominating Convention. And the actual nomination will take place tomorrow, August 17th, online. It's a virtual convention, and that will begin at noon. And there will be a press conference after the convention, approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and that will feature the presidential and vice presidential nominees. So we encourage members of the media to join us. We look forward to seeing you there. All press conferences have been and will be and are recorded and posted and will be posted on the Green Party's YouTube channel. That channel is Green Party Videos. The convention, as I said, the convention on Saturday begins noon Eastern Time. It'll be broadcast in English on the Green Party's YouTube channel and also the Green Party's Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Green Party US. It is also being streamed in Spanish and Arabic. And for complete information about the Green Party convention, you can check us out at gp.org/2024_ANM. And I also recommend checking our website, gp.org, for updates and links, as well as our Twitter page, @Green Party US. And now I'm going to turn the press conference over to our moderator, David Doonan, who is the former two-term village mayor of Greenwich, New York. Take it away, David.
Thanks, Scotty. Glad to see so many friendly, happy faces here. My name is David Doonan. Since 2007, I've served as the web manager for the Green Party of the United States. From 2008 to 2016, I was the village mayor of Greenwich, New York. Greenwich is located in a rural area of Northeast New York, located midway between New York City and Montreal. During my time as mayor, the village was able to replace its century-old firehouse, replace our deteriorating water tower, and install a new water filtration system along with a solar array. The village also recruited a craft brewery and a branch of the YMCA and won a number of grants to improve the downtown business district. Finally, the village was awarded 3 home improvement grants for income-qualified homeowners at zero cost to them. This afternoon, we have a number of Green Party office holders who are working hard to improve their own local communities they serve. They are Sam Pfeifle, school board member, Maine School Administrative District 15 in Gray/New Gloucester, Maine. Bruce Delgado, a long-term serving mayor of Marina, California. Josiah Dean is a member of the city council in Dufur, Oregon. And Gloria Caballero-Roca, school committee Ward 4 from Holyoke, Massachusetts. So let's kick it off with Sam. So Sam, you want to introduce yourself and speak to what you've been doing?
Sure. Thanks for having me, everybody. My name is Sam Pfeifle. I've just got elected to my 3rd term on the what's known as the Maine School Administrative District 15 School Board. We do represent the towns of Gray and New Gloucester. For people who know Maine at all, we're about 20 minutes north of Portland. In total, the 2 towns together, we have about 13,000 voters, and our school district is just under 2,000 kids. And, we've really tried to sort of govern by consensus on our school board. I served as the chair for the last 4 years because I play in a band and I have a lot of sort of experience in front of a crowd. They made me the chair during the pandemic, which was wonderful. That meant that I got to lead all those fun meetings about who was going to be wearing the masks and when, and how far apart we were all going to stand, and how many kids we could fit in the school, and whether we were going to be hybrid or full-time, or all those fun conversations. And I think because we were, my sort of political philosophy involves radical transparency. We try to, let people know as much as possible what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how they can be involved. And I think that sort of, really open and honest approach by our 11-person school board during the pandemic worked really well. We were able to avoid a lot of the sort of infighting and sort of rancor at our board meetings. And, it wasn't a fun time for anybody, but I think we came through it in a good spot. And, I think that sort of way of, making sure that everybody is heard, making sure that everybody has an opportunity to chime in, making sure that our mission of preparing kids for the next step is always front and center in all of our decision making, has really allowed us to do some great things. We're a very rural district. Our per pupil spend is the least in Cumberland County, but we were recently ranked the 6th best high school in the state by U.S. News and World Report. So we're really proud of that. And we've been able to do some great things. While, we're municipal elections, these are non-party elections. There is no green next to my name when I get elected. I try to live the green values in my leadership, and we've done some great things. We've gone 95% renewable power by investing in some solar partnerships. We have really done good work in making sure that our kids have as much access as they can possibly have. I think many people know that Maine is, I think, one of only, I'm going to get the number wrong if I say it, but we're very excited that Maine has extended free school lunch to every kid in the state, even through the pandemic, even after the federal funding for it has gone away. And we've really been able to kind of extend that thinking throughout the whole district, making sure that everybody has access to not just food, but we've done a lot of great work in our alternative education programming, making sure kids have a place to shower, making sure kids have a place to do their laundry, making sure that kids, don't have any impediments to their learning. I think everybody knows that, if you don't have access to a clean shower, if you find yourself houseless, if you find yourself with no clean clothes to wear, it's really hard to effectively learn. And so we've just focused on making sure that our kids are prepared to learn every day when they walk into school, that they're supported in whatever they need to make sure that they can succeed in what goals that they have. And, we've really done a good job, I think, in avoiding any sort of, drawing of, philosophical or political lines. I honestly don't know what the registrations are of many of my fellow board members. I don't know if they know I'm a registered green or not, but I know that we've really done a great job of keeping the kids right front and center in all of our decision making. And I think we've only had like 3 no votes in the last 4 years. So in large part, our decisions are unanimously made. Our budgets have passed 15 years in a row. And I think, that stable environment is really important to providing a stable environment to the high school all the way down to our pre-K kids. They see that, we're all on the same page as a board, and that allows them to, really go about meeting their mission with confidence, not worried that, next year there's going to be big change in direction, or next year there's going to be a big change in our budget priorities. We do have a great 5-year strategic plan, and we've done a great job of meeting it. And right now, what I'm preparing for is the biggest bond vote we've ever had in our district. We're going to vote on a $62 million bond package in November that I've been working on since 2018, and it would provide a whole new performing arts center, a whole new set of outdoor fields to meet all of the, we have a goal of trying to get our kids to remain on campus. 100% of them have something to do after school ends. And part of that is sports. We've introduced bocce, we've introduced ultimate frisbee, we've introduced just all of these offerings to try to keep our kids on our campus, being productive, not going home to empty homes. And we need the public support to do that. And that's going to be the biggest challenge of my little political career, is trying to get some rural voters to vote for some serious lending package. And fingers crossed we can get that forward. So thanks to everybody. I'm always happy to answer questions as we go.
Thanks, Sam. We'll be taking questions after everybody speaks. Very impressive what you've been able to accomplish there in Maine, between the ruling by consensus, the free food, thankfully throughout the state, and the increased participation in sports. Job well done. Next up, we'll listen to Bruce Delgado. He is the mayor of Marina, California, and I believe, Bruce, you have served out there for a number of terms now. So take it away.
Thank you very much, David, and good morning to everybody. I'm sorry that my camera video is frozen now and then. You'll get a new picture of me, but we'll move ahead here. Basically, I've been a Green Party member since I registered as a teenager when I was 18, and I did that because I believe in environmental and justice and economic justice for everybody, including non-humans. I was elected in city council the year 2000 because I was part of a small group that was striving for an urban growth boundary, a UGB, which would draw the line on the current city limits and not allow any future development to be annexed and built outside of our town. It was unpopular, but with a lot of work, we turned the tide, and by election day, we won by a small margin. That gave us a 20-year urban growth boundary, and the logic behind it was, instead of building virgin land to the north in the open space area, rather go to the southern end of our town, which was on a former military base, Fort Ord Army, and it had closed, leaving a lot of abandoned barracks and contaminated soils and things like that. So it made sense to clean up the mess of past rather than saddle that cleanup to the future and let the future generations decide if they wanted to build to the north, to the open space. So anyway, that urban growth boundary passed. I was the only person running for it, so I was naturally sort of elected to city council because the UGB passed. And that happened for 20 years, that UGB. And then in 2020, we recently re-upped it another 20 years, but without any controversy, confrontations. Everybody loved it because it had worked so well. We've made so much progress on the southern part of town, inside of former Fort Ord, cleaning it up and getting functional neighborhoods and shopping areas. So that worked out really well. And then I was elected mayor in 2008, every 2 years. And then in 2016, the residents of my town of Marina, California, near Monterey, about 8 miles north of the city of Monterey, on the edge of Monterey Bay. In 2016, the voters voted to turn the mayor's term into 4 years instead of 2. So that would start in 2018. So in 2018 and 22, I was elected to 4-year terms, and my current term runs through 26, and I'll likely be running for re-election. But I've always enjoyed living in the town of Marina. It's small, 23,000 people. The families speak 52 languages and dialects, so it's a highly diverse town, 64% people of color, and low economic means. And so Green Party values really come to play in the city of Marina, where it's very humble, a lot of volunteers. And my main emphasis always has been to try to bridge the gap between nature that surrounds our city and the people who live in and work in our city that are disconnected from nature. So growing pollinator gardens, community food gardens, food forests, native plant gardens at our parks and schools has been a real big emphasis of mine. Keeping the city clean of litter as a volunteer with other volunteers, keeping the city clean of graffiti and tagging with other volunteers. Those very basic, fundamental, literally on the ground issues have brought our city into a place of, respect, and people feel good that everyone's working together for these basic things that everybody kind of ignores sometimes. But those are the basics. But then there's a lot going on in our city. We have an airport left over from the Army, And we have a high-tech company called Joby Aviation, which is leading the world in creating an air taxi, which is an unmanned, unpiloted, all-electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, but it flies like a plane, like 200 miles an hour, and it can fit 4 people without a pilot. So there's worldwide competition in this air taxi business, and Marina has a business at our airport, which has transformed our airport with approximately 450 jobs and a couple hundred more. But these are good jobs, manufacturing jobs, engineering jobs, et cetera. And so we're really lucky to have that, especially in our town. Water's a big issue with us. A lot of California has drought and water limiting matters, and we're no different. So we've spent $12.5 million in litigation against a big water company, the largest water company in the United States, called American Water Works, and it has branches in every state like Cal Tennessee and Tennessee AM and Cal Am. We're Cal Am, California American Water Works. So we're fighting to keep them from taking our water, our groundwater, because it would reduce our groundwater and in some cases pollute it. So this is a very large issue for us, for a small town. We don't own basketball courts, tennis courts, football fields, swimming pools, senior center, these very basic things that most of us take for granted in our childhood. In most cities, we lack in our city for lack of funds. And so spending over $12 million on litigation has been a big hit for us, but we're still doing okay. And besides the urban growth boundary, one thing that I'm really proud about is we've taken rent control seriously as a city. And we've put rent control of 3% a year on all of our mobile homes. There's about 499 mobile homes in our city. And our city-owned properties, we spent $47 million to buy 552 rentable units. And those are also under the 3% rent control. And just having the units there is one thing, that the city is the landlord. We're very kind and fair to our residents of those 550 units. Plus, they have economic security of that 3% rent control. And then financially, we're doing pretty well because of what I mentioned earlier, the redevelopment of former Fort Ord. We've stayed away from developing any open space and focused all of it on redevelopment of prior parking lots, barracks, and things like that the Army left behind. So it's been a wonderful way to apply Green Party values and make a difference in a small town with a lot of wonderful people. It's been a wonderful experience for me. I'm a federal botanist by trade. I just retired after 36 years and 1 week working on the Fort Ord National Monument as their botanist. And so it's been important to me to get out of that silo, which is quite narrow, and open it up to I meet people from all walks of life and understand issues about fire and water and police and homelessness and politics and finances and all the things that happen in every city, but they don't happen in every botanist's life. So it's been a life expansion for me, and I've really enjoyed it, and I love serving as mayor.
Thanks, Bruce. What a great story you have to tell. Just give you a little heads up. There's a small city in the southern tier of New York called Hornell. And I don't know if they're still doing it, but 10, 12 years ago, the city was buying up usually 3 abandoned houses per year and working with the students from a local community college and Votech center to completely rehab. And then they were then sold at fair market pricing, if not below that, to young families that were looking for a permanent home. It apparently has been a tremendous success for them. I hope they're still doing it, but you may want to look into a similar type of idea for your community. Next up is Josiah Dean, who's a member of the city council in Dufur, Oregon.
All right, thanks so much, Dave. Yeah, my name's Josiah Dean, and I am honored and humbled to be a part of this and a part of the Green Party movement in the world today. My background, just real quick, I've been in the hospitality industry for 25, 30 years, 35, 40 years. Anyway, long time. About 10 years ago, my wife and I bought a hotel in the small rural town of Dufur, Oregon. And so when people hear Oregon, they think, oh, Green Party, everybody's liberal, it's no big deal. But what you may not know is that Oregon is much like a lot of states that have a rural, most of the state is rural with a big urban population. Oregon is indeed that. Portland is very liberal, democratic. But once you get, we're about 100 miles from Portland. And I kind of call it the frontier of the urban growth boundary, so to speak. So definitely a red town. Dufur is about 600 people. And so it's a small town. I'm on the city council there. I got my start in the Green Party back in the year 2000 when Al Gore, I just watched Al Gore take too many steps to the right and said, you know, I've got some values that I need to hold on to. And so I've been in the Green Party since then, 24 years now. But again, living in Dufur, owning a major business in town, major being in quotes, I've really gotten involved with the community and looking to do a lot of the things for the future. Again, I'm amazed at hearing, you know, all the things that are being done between Bruce and Scott and Sam being mayors and getting things done. So I'm just here looking at the future of Dufur and trying to do good governance. Scott was talking about that, where, yeah, we've got a sewer project that we need to get funding for. So I'm working, you know, with my counselors on that. But, you know, having a vision for the community, working with folks that may have a different opinion than I do, but everybody wants to have a good community. And so my idea is that having a good community, having good governance is the key. And so, you know, things like infrastructure and getting federal funding for the, you know, to upgrade our sewer system, that's been a major project that we've been working on. But in the meantime, you still have to get the, you know, make sure that the water bills are paid and the potholes are filled. And then things like we had a goat ordinance that raised a big ruckus in town. And, you know, and it's that kind of thing where, you know, people will show up at the meeting and think that we're these big power hungry folks. And I'm like, you realize this is volunteer and there's 600 people in this town. It's not like it's a big power move, but get a really good insight into people's fears. And again, my focus is to just earn trust by doing things and getting things done that people enjoy. And yeah, so that is my quick little story. I'll hand it back to you, David.
Thanks, Josiah. I think it's just wonderful. We're hearing some great success stories from people from the rural parts of America. And yeah, most rural areas are very Republican, but yet we still get people elected in them because our candidates run on doing what's best for the community, not running on a strictly hardline party philosophy or anything like that. So thanks what you're doing out there. Next up is Gloria Caballero-Roca. She's a member of the school committee in Holyoke, Massachusetts.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. Gloria Caballero. I've lived here in Massachusetts, specifically in this city since 1999. And ever since I moved here, I noticed a city that is underfunded, mostly Hispanic. 68% of our population rents, and 88% of those rental units belong to corporations. I'm a member also of Neighbor to Neighbor. We do a lot of door knocking. Why do I say all this? Because as a school committee member, I get to see the living conditions of the students and families that attend schools in Holyoke. We have been under receivership since 2015 and struggling with results in the MCAS, which is the standardized test here in Massachusetts. Low performances in terms of literacy in mathematics and in reading. What else? We are now getting a new middle school here in Holyoke, but this is a city of a little over 48,000 people. And I would dare say that 89 to 90% are low-income Hispanic in this city. So we are an underfunded city. However, we are now working with the receiver and with the commissioner in Boston and working on plans to get out of receivership. We are working hard with the students and families and schools, trying to put in place new ways of learning, of teaching, of enjoying going back to school every day. Even though I keep bringing up the situation that we have here in our city, which is lack of infrastructure, physical infrastructure, lack of mobility for people who are people with disability. We are also facing a harsh blow in terms of economic crisis. All that affects not only the students, but the teachers. It affects the quality of life of all of us. Today, we are facing, I don't know if you are in the same predicament here in Massachusetts, at least in Holyoke and Springfield, we got an air quality alert. We're getting all these small particles from burnings in Canada. This is another blow because we are still on vacation. Students have to remain home. They cannot go outside because many of us, Holyoke has one of the highest rates in asthma in the state of Massachusetts, and this is still a problem for our students and the families. So it's a lot going on in this city. However, like I said, we are working with the receiver, superintendent, and the commissioner to build a solid plan, a resilient plan, something that is sustainable so that our students feel supported and loved in our classes so that we get better results. In those areas like English, most of us are Hispanic, Spanish speakers, and yet we keep getting more population from Spanish-speaking countries. So that also affects the quality of learning and the quality of teaching because we need more teachers of English as second language. We need more duolingual programs so that we're all integrating learning different languages. And yes, it's a city with a lot to offer. It's a beautiful post-industrial city. We produce our own electricity through the dams are here. We have solar power. We also have a lot that used to be coal electricity production, which also affected the asthma issues that we are still inheriting from before. But it's a very complex, heterogeneous, and diverse city that is trying to find support and look for ways to not feel like victims, but we want to be doers and changers and movers and shakers to really bring the best of us into our communities and to the state of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Well, I appreciate your service. I know serving on a school board can quite often be a thankless task. But it sounds like you've hit the ground running. Thank you. Okay, our final speaker today is Stephen Zollman. He's a member of the City Council of Sebastopol, California. So Stephen, thanks for being here and tell us all about your community.
Yes, and thank you. Thank you very much for having me, and apologies for being late. And as David said, I'm on City Council currently, very proud to be serving as Vice Mayor of Sebastopol. Sebastopol is a tiny city of about 7,500, and we are an hour northwest of San Francisco. And I was told to talk just a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in a tiny town, Northwest Indiana. Fasting forward and went into the military. I'm an Army veteran. When I came out to California, I was very happy and proud to join the San Francisco Public Defender's Office, where I spent 12 years, 8.5 representing our youth and their families, and the remaining part representing our adults. So my social justice roots ran deep. Having that experience, they got even deeper. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get into politics and continue to pursue and tap into the people that actually do support our social justice and equal opportunity advocates. And so I remain a proud member of Veterans for Peace board, Veterans for Peace organization, and am a proud board member. And their conference is going on exactly at the same time as our conference is going on. What a coincidence. And then to talk a little bit about my experience campaigning. I would not be in elective office if it were not for two people of my county Green Party reaching out to me saying the fact that if you don't jump in, there will be three people unopposed coming onto your city council who we only have 5 seats. So those three would come in as the majority. And as it turns out, their politics were, to be kind, conservative. So as a result, I came in along with another person who also got elected, and now we're not quite as conservative. So that was all very interesting. And as a result, Green Party values, we recycled old political signs. We used old used paint. And as a result, the signs were very cost effective and they stood out the most in the entire town. So here's my tips for that. The issues affecting me in elected office. I am a board member of Sonoma Clean Power. It is a public agency, and my first issue in my community was one, educating why green power and green energy is important. And part of that was geothermal. That entity is exploring it as an alternative to, the nasty stuff that we continue to deal with in the world. So that was an ongoing education, ongoing push in even my community understand the benefits of that, which ties into one of our key values of the Green Party. Animal rights, that was a big thing. There are factory farming in Sonoma County. We are rural. That is the history. But there was some prosecution in our county of people that were using the Good Samaritan law to protect the rights and safety of animals, and they were prosecuted. And I pushed for a proclamation from our city to recognize the fact that those animals do have rights and that our district attorney should be more selective in how she uses our tax dollars as far as who she actually prosecutes. So it was a rough fight, but the proclamation was signed. It went to not only our district attorney, but everybody up the food chain, including all of our state people up in Sacramento. So that was interesting. The most recent thing is around the fact that we are still in a fiscal state of emergency. So everybody is clamping down on, the resources. And as a result, everybody runs to the typical thing of public safety, right? So we have to fully fund police, even though we have unsheltered and we have a lot of other mental health issues. My big push is the fact that we need to smartly employ police for the serious crimes in our community, but not for those that are mental health and substance abuse related. And there are more skilled and more appropriately trained people, mental health, that can deal with those issues and not have police be the first responders. They're not trained, things can escalate, and unpleasant things can happen. So that's a big push for me currently, as is trying to get more mental health dollars for the repeated traumas in our community. We had all the isms before: racism, homophobia. I am out, gay, one of only 3 queers in the entire county that are elected. So I am fully aware of all the isms. Then we had the floods, then we had the fire, then we had the COVID. So no one on a mental health spectrum is doing well, our youth or elders. And so those basically the current issues and what I'm pushing for. So thank you. And I am delighted to be amongst people who are fighting the good fight. Thanks.
Thanks, Bruce. Where I live here in upstate New York.
Sorry, Stephen.
Oh, Stephen, sorry. Yes, you're right. I'm going to edit that part out. Anyhow, where I live here in upstate New York, I mean, we're a small community of like village of 1,800 people, but we have a lot of the same mental health issues that you're facing. And I know our local police force, they can spend 25 to 30% of their time on mental and family issues rather than actually policing and doing crime enforcement. It was kind of very sobering to realize that. Okay, before I open up for questions, I'd like to kick off with one for Gloria. You mentioned that the Holyoke school system has been in receivership since, I think, 2017?
2015.
2015, okay. Are there any members of the school board who were active when the school went into receivership?
Yes, I think most of the members were part of the school committee while when the schools were declared to be taken by the state. I was recently elected to the school committee in November. And the reason why I campaigned was because I was seeing that, things when it comes to deal with bureaucracy, things go very slowly. And when you have a population that is very diverse, then they go slower because you need multiple documents being translated, meetings being interpreted, consensus as to how to design curricula that is more culturally oriented, that represents the population that you are teaching. So it is a very complex position to be in once the state takes over, because what happened here in Holyoke was that many teachers were fired or laid off. New ones came in, not understanding, not knowing the city, the students, the culture, the complexity of living here in Holyoke with so much going on. And yet there were teachers that were fired who knew the students, who knew the families, who were had been teaching for over 10 and 15 years, that were senior teachers. And what we've been getting are just new teachers to the city, to the culture, to everything. And that, even though has increased the teachers who are teachers of colors by 18%, it also, on the other hand, with the new restructuring and the new ways of approaching teaching and methodology, we are missing some points in when it comes to really understanding what is that the youth and the students need, which is very infrastructure, which is better housing, which is a curriculum or curricula that really represents the history of who we are here in the United States, why we are here. Language that really communicates with the parents, because we talk in this, abstract and very academic language that really throw off people who don't understand abstract ideas. So there's so much that goes on. And like I said, I've been living here since 1999, and I have noticed very slow improvement. And when I think we're 2 steps ahead, then we go backwards 3 steps. We also elected for the first time in the history of Holyoke, the first Hispanic mayor, Puerto Rican mayor, which is also making a difference, Joshua Garcia. But yet the root causes of what Holyoke is still struggling is the inequality when it comes to politics, when it comes to distribution or redistribution of wealth. We are divided in 7 wards, and wards 1, 2, and 4 are the poorest wards in the city. We see better services in the wards that are better off than in the wards that are poorer. Trash does not get collected every week necessarily. We see liquor stores right across from schools. We see people panhandling and people using drugs and everything that comes with a city that is underfunded. And sometimes we get the idea, well, I have colleagues who've been there for 44 years and others for 16 years. And it's obvious, it's evident to me that we're moving into a system that really puts a lot of obstacles for people to really express and manifest their dreams and their ideas when it comes to seeing a population that really is struggling move forward. Come with your own ideas, because we know the problems we have, we know the solutions that we want, and we know how to do it, but we need the support. So as my members, my colleagues in the school committee have been very resilient, staying in those positions, fighting the system that really is oppressing all of us, because it's hard for us to really say in a meeting, well, I think we need to invest more money in our schools, in our country, instead of investing in wars. It is hard to hear those in a meeting when you see that people in Boston are seeing our meetings taking place on Zoom, and then people get scared. So it's been a struggle. I can also say that we don't have any deficit. We have a receiver that is working with us very closely with the schools, trying to, of course, we made a lot of cuts. That's why I think We don't have any deficit to this point to hire people. I would love to see more programs in the arts, in sports, in nature with our students. It's impossible to just spend 6-7 hours inside a box, which we call school, and not think that our students, once they go out, they're going to do things that really matter to their well-being mentally and bodily speaking. Holyoke at 5 p.m., it's a ghost city. Things are closed. We have a mall that has really sucked in all the economy from local people trying to just open their little restaurants or cafe. We cannot compete with corporations. However, people keep doing their best to invest in their own community and making sure that the money stay here with us and invest in the children.
Thank you, Gloria. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Yes, go ahead. That's, I believe, John, the reporter.
Oh, David?
Let's let David go first. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Just one thing that occurred to me is, in general, I'm anticipating various migrations happening as climate is affecting different areas more and more, and theoretically displacing. And I'm wondering if the various communities are already seeing that. Is it affecting your, are people coming to your communities or leaving, and how are you planning around that?
Yeah, go ahead, Gloria, if you want to respond, sure.
Yes, very shortly. Thanks for the question. Yes, like I said, as a member of Neighbor to Neighbor, we have to rally in one of the offices of the governor, Maura Healey, her office here in Springfield, because she's shortening the period in which families can stay in shelters, because we're getting people that are also in need of those shelter spaces. So if we, and here in Holyoke, we have many students who still live in shelters. So if you're limiting the time in which they are supposed to stay in a shelter, because housing as a human right is being debunked and is being violated that right. So where are those students, those families are going to be when Maura Healey has decided that the term in which families can spend in shelters are going to be cut, are going to be limited? Because it's really a problem. It's an issue that, however, I should also point out that we, as much as we understand the problem, we also have to address the issue, which is the international, affairs, the foreign affairs of why are those people leaving their countries just like I left mine, right? If we don't talk about the elephant in the room, then we are attacking the same people that are being oppressed just like me. And however, the policies are being designed to really keep affecting us, we the people, the grassroots democracy, people who really want to make change. When we see shelters being closed, terms being shortened, so that we make space for other families to come into those spaces. It's like the saying goes, and please correct me, it's like robbing John to pay Peter kind of thing. Nothing's going to be solved, and we are going to be completely run down by all this, wave of migration when it comes to education and families living in shelter. This is going to keep, beating us, and we are going to keep holding the brunt of all this migration. Thanks.
Thank you, Gloria. I see Sam had his hand up. You wanted to respond to the same question?
Yeah, I think probably there are a number of rural communities like mine that are experiencing sort of the opposite problem since the pandemic. And really, we've seen this trend since 9/11. But now, these reports come out about, the counties in the United States that are going to be least affected by climate change. Like 10 of them are here in Maine. I'm living right in one of the middle of them. And this has caused, along with the pandemic, along with virtual work being much more acceptable, a huge migration of relatively wealthy people from Boston, New York, Virginia, coming up here to Maine and finding property that they see as very inexpensive. This has caused a massive housing crunch. My personal home has gone from $115,000 in value in 2019 to $450,000 in value is assessed at this year for tax purposes. People are being taxed out of their home. Also, these people that are coming from more affluent communities, they expect a different level of service, a different level, everybody comes up and they say, how come nobody comes and picks up my trash? It's like, well, we take our trash to the dump here in Great New Gloucester, and we don't want to spend a bunch of taxes on somebody coming and picking up our trash. But they want different things from the schools. They want different things from town hall. They want different things from our community centers. Those things take tax dollars. And I think one of the places where Greens and some of the more conservative members of our community have really come together is saying, are there ways that we can do this that don't involve tax dollars, right? Do we need these things, or are these nice to have? Because I think where we really meet a lot of times is in just old school conservation, right? Like when we spend to build these things, when we spend on creating these services, we use up resources, and every dollar that we spend has to be earned by somebody in our community and then passed along to our government. So I think we've really tried to keep life simple here in rural communities, but climate refugees are coming to Maine, and we just do not have the infrastructure to support them. We have 1.2 million people in our entire state. And so, if we see even 50,000, 100,000 people come to Maine, we do have a refugee population coming from places like Somalia and, South America, those sorts of things. That's one set of issues that we sort of understand. In some ways, these sort of affluent climate refugees coming in are a harder problem to solve because, we just, it's money that we can't generate. So I think climate obviously is something that's core to the Green Party message, but it's much more than just climate impact. It's housing, it's jobs, it's everything is affected by parts of our country are going to be potentially unlivable in 10, 20 years. They're going to look at places like Maine, they're going to look at Vermont, they're going to look at New Hampshire, they're going to look at the Dakotas, places that have small populations and a lot of land, and we're not necessarily ready for those people to come here. And that state and local governments really have to be setting plans for how they're going to adjust to these population changes.
Yeah, the one thing we're seeing up here in Northeast New York, besides the wealthy refugees you mentioned, are also just far too many homes and apartments turned into Airbnbs, which is really just all it does is reduce the housing stock for the people that need to live and stay here. John, you had a question earlier?
I did. Thank you very much. Listening to all of you, very inspiring stories. Thank you. It's clear you're all really deeply immersed in policy issues. So for any young persons who want to follow in your footsteps as elected Green Party officials, do you have any advice? What helped you prepare to be effective?
Anyone care to address that? Yeah, Gloria, go right ahead.
Thanks. That's a wonderful question.
Uh,
I think the system prepared me because I saw that nothing was changing. I keep telling my students, please run for any position. Your voice is important. And I remember when I first ran for mayor here in Holyoke, I used to cry a lot. I cried because I saw how many people were willing to really support my campaign, even though I didn't win, but how many people really opened up. If you really want to make a difference in your community, I keep telling my students, get involved, talk to your neighbor, ask how they're doing. Tell them, I don't know, about your dreams, what you'd like to see changing here in your city. We have a culture here in Holyoke in which we talk, we door knock, we stand on the corners and we communicate. And this is something that has been attacked as loitering or hanging out, and it's also forbidden. And you see in every corner, no hanging out. But this is the agora outside the house where we talk and we do politics. So I inspire my students and everybody when I bring a flyer or it's something new, something that happened to me that is positive, and I tell them that's why you are important. Don't be intimidated by the people who get elected that does not represent you. And they don't know what your problems are. You know what your problems are. And if you know them, why not let them know that you know how to solve them? That you can get inspired by just watching the news and let someone know, hey, I have an idea. Just pass on that idea, get involved, don't get intimidated. And this is one of the things that have kept the Hispanic population divided, versus the English-speaking population, is that lack of self-confidence, self-worth, intimidation, fear of the accent, of not speaking the correct brand of English with the correct accent. So I said, well, I give you myself as a role model. I have 2 doctorate degrees. I have gone through a lot of grinders, but this is who I have become because I am confident that we can make a change. And they say, oh, Dr. Gloria, don't call me doctor. I'm telling you this, so you know that if as a mom, I was able to accomplish that. You can accomplish even more. And I stay on those people and these people, right, left and right. I keep connecting with them, sending them where there's a meeting, where there's going to be a picnic, where it's information, because it's up to me to educate them into this new world of politics and how to live in a world which is very unfair, but we have to, it's also our responsibility to make a change.
Thank you, Gloria. Bruce, you have something you wanted to address?
Yeah, to young or not young people who want to be involved more in their community, such as running for elected office. I'd say there's 2 ways to go. And one is find an issue that's ongoing, that's meaningful to you, and become a champion for it, because that's the best way to get elected, because you'll have an issue, talk to people about what they want to hear, and you'll also have some people around you that will help support you because they want that to be successful, that issue. But if you don't have a meaningful issue to start with, then to think about your purpose in life. And if that includes helping others or helping the community, then to go ahead toward that purpose by learning what your community is all about and volunteering in different ways. So you get to meet people and understand the community better, because you don't want to be a leader before you are ready. You want to be a leader because you've learned the community and you have something to offer it. And there again, that will lead you to finding issues or issue that is meaningful to you, that the community needs, and that can be your springboard to become a community leader.
Thanks, Bruce. Any other comments or questions before we wrap it up? We're just about out of our hour here. Okay, hearing nothing, I just also want to address what the question that John had. I got involved locally initially as asked to join the board of directors of our local Chamber of Commerce and served there for about 1.5 years or so. Also began reporting and providing photography for a local bi-weekly newspaper here. And then I started going to just village and town board meetings. I just wanted to get more of a feel about what was going on in the community. And then after that, I had the misfortune of listening to Ralph Nader speak too many times. He was also addressing the issue of the importance of civic engagement at the local level. And then at one point he said, I'm going to tell you all a Chinese proverb. And it was, to know and not to do is not to know. And that's the point at which I said, okay, I can't just sit back and just complain or look or do whatever. I have to get involved as well. And that's what inspired me to run for office. Again, thank you everybody for being here. A great discussion. This will be up on YouTube probably later tonight, but definitely next week, and will also be up on our main website, gp.org. Again, thank you all for coming. A great discussion. Take care.
Thank you, David.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you. Thanks, everyone.